Oh,
It
that's my work parties.
I bet the Clear Skin Solutions Christmas parties are a banger.
all of the wine, all of the gluten, all of the dairy, all of the sugar. Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director inside the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie, so we can dive deep into the acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence. When it comes to the symptoms that we experience as women, acne is a very common one. And another one that I feel is very similar in alignment would definitely be weight, because there are two outward symptoms that you physically see on the body: weight and acne. And they're super, super common when we're working with our clients in the Clear Skin Solution, because there's also a lot of them saying, hey, I have about 10, 15, 20 pounds I would love to lose. Is there anything that we can do about that? And from the outside perspective, it doesn't really seem like your weight and your skin would be connected. But when we get into those bigger underlying imbalances in the body, they're actually quite similar. And I figured the best time to talk about sustainable weight would be over the holidays, when everybody wants to talk about sustainable weight. So today I brought in nutrition consultant Shannon Hagel, who this is her bread and butter. Like, if you want to talk about metabolism and weight loss from women looking to lose like the 20 to 40 pounds, Shannon's going to be your girl, and she's not going to sugarcoat it for you. Are you, Shannon?
Oh no, I am a tough love girl. I will try to keep my sailor mouth under control today, but I like to drop the truth bombs for sure.
She absolutely does. This is why Chris and Shannon get along so well, because neither of them like to sugarcoat it. And, let's talk really how we can be looking at our weight, our metabolism over this holiday season, because it's not an easy time. But to be honest, when we're looking at the holidays, we could be saying the same thing about the summer months, because then we have patios. And it really comes down to how can we create sustainable metabolism and weight all year long without worrying about these overindulgences.
Yeah, and I think you're so right. I see this with clients all the time when talking about like I really want to lose weight, but maybe not this week. This week's really busy with work, or we've got a vacation coming up, or holidays are here, and everyone's going to all the holiday parties. And the thing is we are going to live in these cycles over and over, year after year. Christmas is going to come every year. Summer patio season is going to happen every year. And if we're not learning how to actually support our bodies and our metabolism and lose the weight within the celebrations and the chaos of life, then we're never going to be successful, because we're going to kind of bubble wrap ourselves for a couple of weeks and be really good and lose the weight. And then we're going to go completely off track because we've got the office party and our family coming over and the neighbors bringing over all the holiday baking, and we're going to have to refigure it out come January. And so we have to stop living in these cycles and actually learn how to show up for ourselves, even in these kind of celebratory times of our life.
And it's that common, theme that we see when we hear weight loss. It's the yo-yo dieting, right? Where they're like really good for a few weeks, then they're like, oh my gosh, I went on vacation, then I come back, I'm going to be better. And it's this cycle of yo-yoing, the ups and downs, and they're never getting the sustainable results. And it's alongside that same thing of it never being a right time. And it's like, okay, well, if now is not right time to teach yourself sustainability, when is it ever going to be the right time? Because like you said, Shannon, there's Christmas, and then we go into, Valentine's Day and vacations. And then we're going to be in spring with wedding season and patio season, and it's Thanksgiving. And then you have all of those life events interspersed throughout, and your kids are playing in sports and you have a busy work week. There's really never going to be an ideal time to do anything. So why not do it now so you can have that sustainability long term?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like with anything, whether it's losing weight or clearing up your acne or, kind of trying to support your autoimmune disease, like any health changes we make, we have to learn how to do in a consistent way. And that doesn't mean perfectionism. And I think that's where a lot of people get really stuck and caught up, is that they're living in all or nothing. They're being really good, like really good, and they're white knuckling it through every craving. They're, staying away from social events so that they're not tempted. And that's not real life. That's not real life. So then when they, decide like, oh, actually, I do want to go to my friend's house for dinner, right, and not bring a cooler of food with me everywhere I go, right? Then they have a problem, because people don't know how to actually include some of these foods in their life in a balanced way.
Mhm. And, Chris, what would you say would be one of the most common things we hear from our clients when they come in that would probably also apply to Shannon?
One.
Just one. Let's start there.
Let me
Start with one.
Let me weed through the database here. That's like hard. The first thing is, what do I have to give up? Essentially, I can't have a coffee. Oh, I can't have this. I can't have that. And it's the expression of the words I can't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, same with, it's called yo-yo dieting. I call it yo-yo flares with acne, because it's, like you said, the cyclical cycles. It's the in and out. It's the I really want. What we really love to do in the coaching, and when I'm working with our coaches, is I say, I want to know why, what the emotion attached to the want is, because this is a social dynamic. Going to someone's house, here, I'll bring something. Someone comes in, they'll bring something, right? So we just got to watch that deprivation, I think.
I think you really nailed that, Chris, because my clients, your clients, I think all people have had this experience, because I think it's just a human experience. Like, we have these two layers of our brain. We have our like our caveman brain. I like to call it our toddler brain, because that's how it really behaves. Like, I want what I want when I want it, which is now. Right? And we are really driven by that part of our brain. And then we have our prefrontal cortex, which allows us to think about things and goal set and make educated decisions. But we're constantly being driven by that toddler brain, right? That lizard brain, because that's how we survived as a species for so long, is that it took a lot of time and energy to find food back, in caveman days. And so that's why we survived, is because we had this desire for that immediate gratification, right? But now in our society, that is actually a major issue, because I have cookies right now in my pantry, right? I have a bag of chocolate chips. I have a bottle of wine in my fridge. And so all of those immediate gratifications are literally just a arm's length away at all times. And this just kind of creates this prison for ourselves. And so, like you said, people are really scared about, what do I have to give up? What do I have to sacrifice? And there's this big concern about, what do I have to sacrifice? Because we have so intertwined those foods with our feelings, right? And so if I get joy and connection from a glass of wine with a girlfriend, or the baked goods or the chips when I feel stressed, if that is how I allow myself to relax or feel joy, and I'm suddenly told I can't have those things anymore, your brain is going to panic and think like, I guess we just don't get to experience joy or connection anymore. I guess we always have to suffer with stress. It can't make the leap, the jump to like, oh no, what we need to learn is how to actually create joy and connection and desire and reward outside of the food, so that we feel that same level of joy and just enjoyment in life even more. But it's not surrounded by the food. It's not controlled by the food. And that's really, I think, the key to breaking out of this continuous all or nothing cycle, is learning how to infuse your life with more of those feelings you want to feel outside of the food.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, from a traditional Chinese medicine, what I think is really neat, you kept saying joy, 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 and the association with food and joy. Joy is connected to the heart. Food is not connected to the heart. We need the stomach, we need the intestinal cavity, we need the digestive system. So somewhere down the line, that heart jumped in unannounced, uninvited. However, then we have to look at also what are the connections, because acne and weight loss being so outward bound, confidence is just huge. Judgment and
Yeah.
confidence. If I had to pull two words out of my hat right now. So when I look at that, I'm like, what is the joy it's bringing you? And what are the other things you enjoy in life? Because
Yes.
that glass of wine with a friend, if I switched it out for a mocktail or a lemon water, does it extract the joy?
Mm.
Because the answer is no, it really doesn't. And if somebody says, well, yes, obviously that's a mindset thing, right? And we work on
Mhm.
that lifestyle connection. However, we always have to watch and balance. Where do we want the joy? So I love that you kept saying that, because then I'm like, hello, yeah, because the heart's absolutely, the body does not need that chip or that wine or even the carrot if we want to use a whole food.
Yeah.
And I've never heard someone say, I just love carrots, but
Can't get enough.
oh, look at me. I know I've heard I love rice and baked potatoes, but
Mhm. Yeah.
um, yeah. So I just wanted to touch on that, because I think with the outward appearance and with that judgment and then eating it and then judging ourselves after. And again,
Mhm.
that continuum of that yo-yo, that imbalance, right? It's
Mhm.
constantly striving for something we want. So I just want to ask, kind of, put it out there. Your thoughts, Katie, your thoughts is, if someone is continually going through the ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs, whether it's energy, weight, whatever it is, and we live in deprivation, have we truly adapted the lifestyle that meets the goal?
No, and that's the thing, whether it's weight or it's skin, is you have to remember this has to become a lifestyle, because it's not going to be about deprivation. That's not sustainable. That's why you yo-yo. That's why you get flares. We have to figure out a way that works for your body. And I think, Shannon, this is really important for your clients, is just like ours, you're not dealing with acne or weight for the same reason as the next person. It's not
Yeah.
as easy as, society thinks that we just have to stop eating food and we just work out more. It's just about deprivation and working out more. When in fact, that's not the right way for weight loss to happen. There's a multitude of different underlying factors that have to be taken into consideration.
Well, you're so right, and I think you said earlier, when we just jumped on, like, weight is a symptom, acne is a symptom, and I think especially with weight, people don't see it that way, but it truly is. I hear all the time women saying, like, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing all the right things, and nothing is working. And, like, little tip, if the right things aren't working, then they're not the right things. And we're getting this message everywhere from, the 20-year-old influencers on Instagram, and the like, even our doctors, right? And this is a hard one for people, because they are like the most educated people we know. They're supposed to be there for our health, but they're not educated in this field, especially when it comes to women, right? I think women over 35, especially, weight loss becomes such a different ball game. It is no longer about calories in equals calories out. Like, that is this very simplistic way of looking at things. And if you live and die by that rule, you're going to be constantly in deprivation. And what you're actually going to be doing is slowing your metabolism. So your body's going to function on less and less calories, meaning you need to keep going deeper and deeper into that deprivation to continue to get that weight loss. And it's truly not only not sustainable mentally, because you're like, you can't go out to eat and you have to avoid all the things, but physically, it's not sustainable, because where are we getting our nutrients? Like, our body, every cell, every neurotransmitter, every hormone in our body is built from the nutrients we absorb. And if we're not eating any food, like, how is it going to get the tools?
Mhm. And I love that you said that, is the 20-year-old influencer who's just starting life and had nothing really going on. It's going to be a hell of a lot different from the 40-year-old mom who, has a chronic stress and 4 kids. Like, it's not going to be the same. And especially
Yeah.
as women, our bodies change so much throughout the cycles of our life that, of course, it's going to be different.
Mhm.
And when we're looking at those deeper rooted issues, Shannon, what do you find are really those core things that are leading to that struggle to lose the weight?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always, um, it's never one thing. Right. And I think our society is always looking for, like, what's the hack? what's the macros, what's the calories that I should be eating, what, like, that's going to be the solution. But it's, our body's complex. It's super freaking complex, right? And so it's always multifold. And I would say, like, the biggest imbalances that are really causing a lot of women's bodies to hold on and store this fat and and deplete their energy and have these, like, crappy sleeps, because weight is not never just hanging out by itself. It always has a list of other friends that it brings with it, right? Other symptoms that it brings with it. But I think the biggest imbalances that we see with our clients, women over 35, uh, is really, like, a sluggish liver is a huge one. And I know that's a really big one for
Mhm.
your clients as well. Our liver is so important for so many different functions in our body, right? Like, we think it's just this one thing. Like, I think a lot of people just think, like, oh, it helps, get the alcohol out of my body. But it has so many jobs, right? And if our liver is slow, sluggish, we're not detoxifying. We're not breaking down these important hormones in our body and getting them out of our body, causing hormonal imbalance. We're not breaking down our food properly so we can absorb those nutrients that are going to feed our thyroid, that's going to help support our metabolic function, that are going to feed our adrenals, that are going to, reduce the chance that we have stress fat building up around our belly. And so we have to go back to the foundations. I think number two, the, like, second biggest imbalance that we see, and of course there's many, many different ones. Not one of our clients is the same, but the second top imbalance that we see is really nervous system dysregulation. And I don't think that gets talked about enough in the health and wellness world, in the weight loss world, because everyone wants that quick fix. Everyone wants to know, what food do I need to eat? What food do I need to cut out? What supplement do I need to take? Nobody wants to do the actual hard work of, hey, you're completely overstimulated. You're living in fight or flight constantly, especially women, 35 to 55, that are raising humans, and like, the majority of them are working full time. And, they're also caregivers to aging parents. Like, we have so much on our plates, and then we're constantly getting berated with information from our cell phones and Netflix and even, like, light pollution. Like, all of this stuff is constantly stimulating our nervous system, and we never actually get the chance to move into our rest and digest nervous system, which is where we need to spend the majority of our time in order to have all of these systems in our body function optimally and be able to lose the weight and not store all this fat.
And Chris, would you not say nervous system regulation and a sluggish liver are two things we happen to work on all of the time?
Might be included.
Might be included here and there. What we often laugh about is I forgot to share that Shannon and I have been really good friends for a long time. We're actually in a group of about 6 or 7 women. We all have different, business. We're all health and wellness, but we all have different things we work with. I do acne, Shannon does metabolism, we have fertility, we have thyroid, we have it all. And we always laugh at the underneath things that we all do are all the same, even though we're
Mhm.
all doing different things, because it's about rebalancing your body's systems.
Yeah, when your body is functioning optimally, we don't have these symptoms, right? And these symptoms are going to present differently in each person, which is why, one person with a sluggish liver presents with acne, and someone else is going to present with fat storage, or, you might have won the lottery and get them both.
That's so fun. Love a little extra weight and
So
acne.
fun. Weight and acne, and coming into a time in your life where you're getting wrinkles.
I was going to say, don't forget the fine line, Shannon. Don't forget
Oh,
those.
I can never, because I'm right there. I'm like, 40, and I struggled with acne, most of my adult life, until I healed my gut. And I did the Accutane, I did the birth control, I did the antibiotics, I did, the oxy pads and
The
all the
oxypads. Oh my gosh.
oxy pads. And they were so satisfying too, because you could see the sludge on your face, right? You're like, oh, I'm doing so good. I'm doing good things right here. Right. But it's never something on the surface. And I think like the oxy pads and the skincare, not that skincare is not important, but the skincare solutions that people are always gravitating to for acne, it's the same thing as the kind of calories in, calories out mentality that I see in my world, is that like, if I just eat, less and I move more, that's the answer. And if that was the answer, no one would be struggling.
No. I think your version of skincare is those weight loss supplements, right? They're like, I
Oh,
just
yeah.
need this weight loss supplement with extra caffeine. And what's that big weight loss thing they put in the supplements? I can't remember now.
The whole world that I'm in right now is like, everyone used to be like, what's the supplement? What's the supplement? Now
Now
I never
it's
hear that anymore, because everyone is GLP-1, like Ozempic, metformin, like all of these weight loss drugs, right? The magic pill. And I mean, humans are so predictable. We're always looking for the magic pill. And we have 3 clients currently that used to be on Ozempic or metformin for 6 months plus. And like, look, and now they're here with me. And yes, some people, like lots of people, lose weight on those things. And guess what? It's not a long-term solution unless you're planning on being on that for the next 40 years of your life.
Yeah, I feel like we could do an entire episode on the impacts of Ozempic on the body
Oh
when
my
it's not
goodness.
needed.
Oh my
However,
goodness.
can I just bubble pop something?
Oh, here
Shannon's
she
going to know
goes.
this, but just for our clients who like to hang out with us,
Mhm.
because we've had clients and they were doing this. Even in fact, we had a young teen on.
On Ozempic.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Ugh.
And
I have
it's
big feelings about that.
I know sometimes it's really hard for us, right? Because we
Mhm.
want to support, meet you where you are. We never asked you
Yeah.
to come off pharmaceuticals. Like,
Mhm.
we appreciate it. However, it just breaks my heart when somebody that young is codependent now, because like you said, it's not you can come off of it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
However, the core ingredient berberine, it's not new.
Yeah.
We use it in supplements. Here's the issue. If somebody already has high cortisol and they have the yo-yo and they have estrogen,
Mhm.
estrogen and cortisol, they can mimic each other. Now we can throw off our hormones completely.
Yeah.
We can lose our menses completely. We can put ourselves in a perimenopause factor, all because we're really taking high doses of what should be a beautiful
Yeah.
herb, a beautiful one,
Yes.
to combat something else. For what's the point and the purpose is because somebody doesn't want to give up something or create that lifestyle. And it's not always about that. However, usually, again, it ties back into, what do I have to lose in order to gain?
Well, and we see that with our clients that have been on the weight loss medications,
Mhm.
is their liver, their stomach is so sluggish because it causes like stomach paralysis, right? It
Mhm.
slows down the emptying of the stomach. That's how it keeps you full longer, and so you're not hungry all the time. But that is a digestive issue. That food is fermenting in your gut. We see candida, we see major thyroid issues stemming from these things. And 100% you're right that these medications aren't evil. The dosage that people are getting is what is causing major imbalances from that. And that's the thing with a lot of pharmaceuticals. Most pharmaceuticals, there's always going to be a a sacrifice with pharmaceuticals as well. We think so much about sacrificing,
Mhm.
this food or that food, but every choice we make is a sacrifice of something. And I say that to my clients a lot of times, that when they're so focused on, you know, not wanting to not have the cheese all the time, or not wanting to not have chocolate every day, is, we're also sacrificing being here, being right where we are. Not making changes is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice of our confidence. It is a sacrifice of our energy. It is a sacrifice of being a healthy weight, right? Of our digestive health, of, having sex with the lights on. Like, that we are sacrificing so much trying to hold on to not having to change anything that we're doing. And I think people don't realize that piece.
Yeah, it's the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Put a lot of energy in status quo.
Guys, I remembered what what supplement I was recommending. It was driving me absolutely crazy. I had to look it up. Do you remember when they used to have the supplements with ephedra and caffeine, but they're now
Okay.
banned?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, they
and
should be.
I only know this because when I was in university, I was like, okay, I'm on the cheerleading team. I need to lose weight. I'm going to
Mhm.
eat less. I'm going to work out more, and I'm going to take this fat loss supplements with ephedra and caffeine. And then I thought I was dying.
Oh yeah. Having heart palpitations.
Also, remember, any drug that promises something,
Yeah.
if we did that in our industry, we'd be in a lot of trouble. We
Yeah.
can we have to use the words may be able to, might assist,
Yeah.
could help. And then this drug can come on and say, hey, you know what? And which is even something else, is any drug that's targeting type 2 diabetes, that's lifestyle.
100%.
And I'm pretty sure you
100%.
see people cusping on that all the time when they're coming to you. It's that pre-diabetic like behavior, that blood sugar instability. It's not just about the choices, because we don't want to boo on everybody that's not making that exact choice, right? Because
Yeah.
whatever choice we make is the result we're going to get.
100%. And if you're happy with your results, have at her. Have at her.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to make healthy choices and you enjoy your life and you're happy with the status quo, amazing. Right? If you are happy on a weight loss drug and you feel good there, cool. Right? But I think the majority of people in our society are just generally not happy, right? Over half of our population is pre-diabetic, and a third of them don't even know it, right? And so I think there's a lot of women that we see. We have lots of women in our program that have a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. We have a lot of women, with that pre-diabetes diagnosis, and the majority of our women don't have that diagnosis at all. And they come in and their blood sugar is a mess. Like they are so insulin resistant.
Mm-hmm.
Their mood is all over the place. Their cravings are out of control. And I think, that's such a big thing when we're talking about, going through the holidays and being able to stay on track and creating consistency in your life, is if your cravings for these foods that don't serve you and don't get you the results you want are, over the top, out of control. I mean, it's usually twofold. Is one, there's an imbalance in your body that is creating that desire, that overwhelming desire, right? Our hormones, when our blood sugar is all over the place, the higher our blood sugar spikes, the lower it's going to drop. And when that blood sugar drops, our body sends out a hormonal signal to get that blood sugar back up again. And the body will always want to take the path of least resistance. The fastest way to do that is to get high glucose carbohydrates. Go get a croissant, go get a cookie, go get some chocolate, right? Some chips, right? And it's completely overwhelming. So we have to look at, what does the body need in order to be in balance? Because then a lot of the times those cravings aren't even a problem. But then the other side is that psychological piece where, like you said, that they're so scared about letting go of some of those foods because they're going to feel deprived. And if we're going to support our body and get the results that we want for confidence, for long-term, I guess, joy and appreciation of our life, we have to learn to actually lower our desire for these foods and not just white knuckle it through them. Because that is really miserable to live in deprivation constantly, to feel like you're living in restriction. But it's kind of like our mentality around smoking, right? If I put a pack of cigarettes in front of you and said, like, do you want one? Like, what would you say, Chris?
I'm
Would-
like, no. Like,
Would you be
hardcore no.
tempted at all? No.
No.
Hard no.
Hard no. Because you don't smoke. Right? And yet a lot of people, right, that smokers would not be able to say no because their desire for those things is so great. They've connected emotionally to the feeling they get from those cigarettes. right? And it's the same thing with food. It's just more socially acceptable. We've like, as a society decided that it's weird to not want to eat chips all of the time, to not, drink a half a bottle of wine every night.
Wait, that what?
Everyone listening is like, what do you mean? I can't have a half a bottle of wine a
I
night.
can't do what? Can I have a glass?
You can.
Right?
You can do whatever you want, but then you get the results that you get.
I love that. That's so true. Is because even we hear they're like, well, I want clear skin, but I won't do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not giving up this. I'm not going to live that. I want to live my life exactly how I'm living it. No changes are being made. I'm like, okay, well, if you're not making any changes, you're going to stick with the same results you got right now.
Yeah. Right. To create a different result, we have to make a different choice.
Mm-hmm. And when we're going, we're in the full blown holiday season. There's parties and all the things going on. So, Shan, what are some of the things that you're working on with your clients to help them create that sustainability through the holidays and create more ease when they are faced with these temptations? Because let's be real, like unless you're going to stay at home and not go out and speak to another human being in the next month, there's going to be temptations in place.
Yeah. Well, and I want my clients to put themselves in those situations because, I'm really focused on creating those long-term sustainable changes. I don't give a rip about helping someone lose, an obscene amount of weight in 12 weeks just so that they can gain it all back again. Like I would much rather that process be a little bit slower and them actually be able to sustain that for the rest of their life and not have to do this dance every single year, every single holiday season. Right. And so we want them to go out to the holiday parties and be around the temptations because you have to learn how to be able to reduce your desire for these foods when they're in your face because we can't bubble wrap ourselves all the time. So, I think especially during the holidays, things shift slightly, not in terms of like our recommendations for our clients, but in our focus for sure, because there's so much more of the emotional piece connected to it. So much more of that in your face temptation and stress. Like stress becomes so huge around the holidays. Our time is so limited. And typically I think people, women, women over 35 greatly overextend themselves. Right. They're
Not us. Stop
constantly
it, Shannon. There's no way.
No.
We don't extend ourselves and say yes to everything and don't
Right?
know how to say no and decide that we're going to take on the school bake sale.
I want to see your to-do list right now,
No,
Katie.
I don't. I am never showing it to you ever.
Get a paper bag.
Mm.
Actually, you can't because Katie has stocks in them. So she takes them all to get through her list.
Shannon, I feel like you're singling me out here.
I'm singling myself out. I am, you
That's
know
true.
me, I am an A-type personality. I love a good to-do list. I
Love it.
love taking on too much because this is also one of, the other ways that we buffer. We don't just buffer with food, we buffer with Netflix, we buffer with work. Like Katie, you and me, we know this about each other, right? Like we
Work's a coping
love
mechanism.
to totally, it's a coping mechanism. We do this with our kids. Like, let's put them in 7 different activities and then times 3 because you've got 3 kids, right? And now you're having to be in 3 different places at the same time for all your kids' activities. We do this to ourselves as constant distractions, right? Or to make us again feel a certain way, feel valuable, feel worthy, feel like we're doing a good job as a mom, that we're taking care of all the people. And so I'm a big fan of like, let's do less. Right? I think so many women think if, I'm eating this much and I'm working out this much and it's not working, I have to like up the ante. I have to work out twice as hard and I have to cut my food even more. I'm like, what if we're already doing enough? We're just not putting that energy into the correct outlets. So I'm a big fan of doing less, putting less on our plate. And I will always say to my clients, especially during the holiday season, and this is coming from someone who was a fitness instructor for 10 years, and I love exercise. But if you only have an hour in your day to do something for yourself, exercise would not be at the top of my list. Preparing a healthy blood sugar stabilizing meal for yourself that's going to nourish your body would be at the top of my list, right? If you have time to move your body, great day. And I think, with all the seasons of weight loss or health and wellness that we see, it changes just like you know, the value we give in certain body features, right? 80s was heroin chic, and maybe in the 90s too, early 90s, right? And then like the last 10 years have been about gigantic bums and boobs and tiny little waists, right? Like walking around like you're wearing a corset all the time. But our focus in health and wellness changes just like that does too. And I see this big swing towards everything fitness focused, all of the exercise all of the time. And what we talk about balance, right? Yes, exercise is important. Moving our body is important, but the intense, you know, hour, 2 hour for some people sessions at the gym is not a replacement for what you're putting on your plate. It is not a replacement for actually calming your body and your nervous system and your mind. It's not a replacement for sleep. I would rather my client get a good night's sleep and not wake up at 5 a.m. to like sneak in that workout and actually get 7 hours of sleep and maybe go for a 20-minute walk after lunch instead, because
Mhm.
they're going to actually have far faster results that way because their body is able to be in balance.
Yeah, it's like giving that nervous system regulation, right? Because if your nervous system's already messed up, you're not sleeping well because you're waking up early, you're going to the gym, you're doing HIIT classes 6 days a week, and you're just pushing yourself and you're doing more, your body's never having that time to get back down to that state of rest and digest, where the
Mhm.
body's going to start releasing that stress weight.
Yeah, and healing, right? That's when kind of the garbage truck goes through our body and cleans everything up. If you're not sleeping well, like literally one crappy sleep is going to increase your hunger hormones the next day. You're going to be struggling with hunger, more cravings the next day. So prioritizing sleep, prioritizing even just, and I know for like I know women with young children hate hearing that. Like I had terrible sleepers when I have a 8 and a 10-year-old now, but they were terrible sleepers when they were little. Even if you can't get like deep sleep, then prioritizing rest, especially in the stressful seasons of our life. It's so important. And that doesn't have to look like, carving out an hour to meditate. It might be like lying on your living room floor and taking some deep breaths. Right? But like rest, sleep, hydration, and nourishment is really where you want to put your focus, I think, during this time. You want to think about, in these busy, stressful seasons, how can I support my metabolism? How can I nourish my body so that I have the energy to get through this time, right? Without being so overly stressed out that I can't survive a day without, the handful of M&Ms, right? So I can't make it through a work dinner without the half bottle of wine.
Oh,
It
that's my work parties.
I bet the Clear Skin Solutions Christmas parties are a banger.
all of the wine, all of the gluten, all of the dairy, all of the sugar.
One thing I
Yeah.
did want to just say is because I love this. It's like working out doesn't replace what's on the plate. And also, working out doesn't compensate for what's on the
No.
plate because I grew up with a girl and she held her weight on her hips. So I already know which hormone she's hanging in. We'll leave the spoiler alert for later. And she would eat chocolate and she would eat all the things. She loved chocolate, but she would eat all the things. And then she would work out because in her mind, that took away that hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's a compensation. Oh, if I do this, I'll do that. Right. And then the replacement as well is like, well, I'll just do, I mean, I teach this and I always say, what we think about working out and what we think about weight loss is really, I need to work out more, eat less.
Hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's so opposite in our world, even with acne, the exact same thing. They come in undernourished. Their macronutrients are very, very low. They don't have what it takes to even output. So, of course, your mood and your energy is low. If you don't eat, your macronutrients, your proteins, fats, your fibers, what happens to your minerals, what happens
Yeah.
to your vitamins, all the cores of the catalyst, the enzyme reactions that need to go on in your body so they can actually perform the job you're asking them to do to lose the weight or get rid of the acne cannot happen.
Yeah. And how much
Right.
of these kind of, I mean, for lack of a better word, like hacks, like health hacks that we do to try and compensate for the, mini chocolate bar or the full size chocolate bar or whatever it is that
Mhm.
we're eating in those moments. How much of the things that we're doing to try and then erase the bad nutrition choices are actually creating even more problems. So, like, we talk about this season of holidays and extra stress. Well, if you go and you're then doing HIIT classes, you're going for that long run to try and burn some of these extra calories you're using. If your adrenals are struggling, and for most women over 35 that we see, that is a reality because of our life, because we've got all these, small humans we've created that need all the things from us, or we're at the height of our careers, and that is demanding, right? The intellectual, the mental stressors, but stress also is catabolic. It's
Mhm.
causing inflammation in our gut. It is breaking down our digestive lining, and then you want to go and add this high intensity exercise to the equation. It doesn't respond. Our body's not going to respond the way we think it's going to, right? Our body is now having this extra stressor, right? A stressor that could have been of benefit if we didn't have all these other stressors on our plate. So now we've just like completely filled the bucket of stress in our body, that mental stress, the physical stress, and we're exacerbating the issues, right? Whereas if we actually slept, went for a walk instead of a run, right, we'd actually see faster results because we're not adding to that stress bucket. I see the same thing with intermittent fasting, right? Beautiful
Mhm.
tool in certain bodies and detrimental in others, in women who are
Agreed.
struggling with adrenal or thyroid issues.
And that's something we get asked all of the time from
I'm
our
gonna
acne
add acne.
clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can should I just be intermittent fasting? Or I've been intermittent fasting for 12 months. I've been doing it for this. And we're like, okay, well, majority of the time it's not going to be right because just like acne sufferers, your adrenals are so fried that
Mhm.
adding in intermittent fasting, and they're not intermittent fasting correctly because they are eating up until 12 p.m., 12 at night, and then they're
Mhm.
not eating until mid-afternoon and they're just surviving on coffee all day. And we're like, oh, okay, you're just creating a whole hot mess of a situation that's going to be not only flaring your skin, but in your client's case, messing with your weight.
And you're right. Like a lot of people aren't like you said, not intermittent fasting correctly. That they're not even actually intermittent fasting.
Mhm.
It's like
No,
this term we've used to now describe not eating for a really long time and then eating whatever the hell we want. And that's binge and restriction. That's an eating disorder. That's not intermittent fasting, that's an eating disorder, right? And I know that sounds like extreme and dramatic, but truly, like, we've just replaced some of these terms that we know are, it's not healthy to starve ourselves and then binge on all these crappy foods that don't feed our body, but that is, we've now like put this health term on it to allow ourselves to again eat whatever we want, and all I got to do is just like then not eat for 16, 18, 20 hours. We have clients that like do 24-hour fasts, and they're like, and I'm not losing weight. I'm like, yeah, because that's not only not the answer to you, for you, that is part of the problem now.
and I think something that we again also see with our acne sufferers is they're over exercising, right? Where they're overdoing it. And Shannon, obviously, you being a former fitness instructor and specializing in weight loss, what happens to the body when you over exercise?
Oh my goodness. I mean, so much, right? Like I said, it's going to cause an increase in your cortisol. Again, not a problem if your cortisol is not a problem. But for the majority of women that I see, and I think that you see, cortisol is a problem, right? And so we're just adding to that bucket. Also, like, if we are causing these hormonal disruptions, because cortisol, insulin, these are hormones too, not just our estrogen and our progesterone, But when we cause hormonal havoc in one area, it has a domino effect because our hormones interact, they impact each other. When our cortisol is through the roof, our progesterone starts to drop, our testosterone starts to drop, right? We start to live in this estrogen dominant state because the same nutrients that are needed to make cortisol are needed to make progesterone and testosterone. And so we end up with like heavy bleed cycles of our menstrual cycle. We end up with crazy PMS. We end up with acne flares because we're causing this low grade inflammation, this chronic inflammation in our body, right? And you can't even build the lean muscle mass that you think that you're putting all this effort into to make, because the cortisol is going to prevent you from building that by lowering your testosterone. So more is not better. We need to, stop going just so balls to the wall to these what we think are these kind of surface level solutions, and actually do the hard work, which is not even as extreme. It's just about creating that balance, opening up those pathways in our body that are struggling so that our body can function optimally, so our body can make the hormones it needs, so it can make the it can burn the fat that it needs, it can clear out the toxins it needs naturally.
And like really, it comes down to those simple things that are pretty much free that we're all overlooking in favor of that supplement and that workout, because it comes down to rest, sleep, a little stress reduction, maybe a little gentle movement, all things that are essentially free, and then nourishing your body. You got to buy groceries. We got like that's not
Gotta
free,
buy
but
groceries.
you got to buy groceries. We got to live. So
Yeah,
these are simple things that we can be doing instead of always trying to figure, okay, well, what's that one thing that I have to add in, that supplement I need to take or that exercise I need to do? Because if we're skipping over all of the foundations, we're really missing all of the things that we need to be successful.
absolutely. And I think that's the foundations aren't sexy.
They're not.
Right?
That's why.
They're not sexy. So we still to this day, like, we should know better. And women are more educated than they've ever been. We have this like magical tool at our fingertips. We can Google literally anything in the world we want to know. We can Google, and this obscene amount of information that we have access to is not helping people, right? The answers are all out there, and yet we, instead of just doing the foundational things, we spend hours Googling more. The secret. What is the secret? Right? The
Mhm.
secret is to nourish your body. The secret is to, you know, understand your own personal body, not the blanket advice that's out there. Because I mean, especially for weight loss, the vast majority of the information out there is for men. It's been tested on men. It's been developed for men because of women's hormones. We weren't included in these studies because our hormones could skew, like the changing hormones of fluctuations we have, you know, throughout our cycle could skew the results of the study. But it's that very fact that makes all of the information that's out there not applicable to us. And so we're trying to force these things to work on our bodies, and it's just not, it doesn't matter how hard you try. You can keep
No, because
trying, you're not going
I
to find
always
it.
say we're not just smaller men. We are vastly different. Like just the fact that the studies, get skewed because of the way the hormones shift, like that just has to tell you something right there, that we have to really be doing things that work for our body, our
Yeah,
unique imbalances and our health histories and lifestyle and all of these factors that you're not going to get from a supplement that an influencer on TikTok's recommending.
100%. 100%. And I mean, and I think that's really hard. I think it's really unfortunate for people. I get why people are struggling so much, is because there is so much information out there, and it is so in your face, and it is so conflicting, and it's really hard to tell, like, from all these influencers on Instagram. They seem to know what they're talking about. They've had success themselves, and the vast majority of, you know, the influencers are not educated. They might have had success themselves. They read a book and they applied it to themselves and they lucked out, and it was actually the things that they needed to change their acne, to change their weight. And so now they're out there helping other people, and they probably can if that person has the exact same issues that they had. But if they're not educated, if they aren't truly educated on how the body, the biology, the chemistry of how the body interacts and works, and how our hormones and our digestion are going to impact all of our symptoms, right? They're going to have no idea how to help you and your individual body and your individual imbalances.
That's what it comes down to. And this has been a packed episode. I'm sure you're going to want to go back and listen to this again. And Shannon, for those that, are in that headspace, or like, no, like I need that guidance. I need to do something that's unique for my body. Where can people go to learn more about you?
I think the best place is probably to come sit in on one of my metabolism masterclasses. I do them almost every single week. And so you can find that at www.thrivefromtheinside.com. It's right on my website. And sign up for my next class, my next session, so you can understand a little bit more about, really this kind of starting process of women, 35 to 55 having 20 to 40 pounds to lose, what they really need to start prioritizing in order to have a well-functioning, healthy, thriving metabolism.
And I'm going to pop all of that in the show notes, so that way if you want to go and check out Shannon's masterclass, Instagram, website, it's all going to be there. So Shannon, thank you so much for hanging out with us, helping everybody get a little bit more knowledge when it comes to weight loss, that it doesn't have to be eat less, work out more. It just comes down to the foundations. You're welcome. All right, everybody. That was another episode of the Clear Skin Chronicles. We will see you next Wednesday for another episode. Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.